So what I want to do here is to walk you through the whole process of making an encaustic painting from start to finish, at least how I do it. There's multiple ways of doing it. I will start with essentially a collage underneath the paint, which sometimes ends up revealed and sometimes is completely obscured by paint. But the reason for that for me is that I have come to encaustic painting from a photo background, and truthfully, I have not in the past had real confidence in my sort of ability to create something from nothing. That was why photography was such a wonderful medium for me, in that I was responding to what was there. So what I do here is to create the substrate for the painting, the base of the painting. I'll make a collage of things that have emotional resonance for me. In this case, I have photocopied old family letters from my mother to me, from my grandmother's journal, from my father to his parents when he was in school, parts of my journal, and I am essentially, in a sort of random way, I'm assembling these as the sort of underneath of the piece, so that I know that underneath it all there will be things that are sort of emotionally meaningful to me. So I'll take a cradled wood board. These are 4 6-inch by 6-inch boards. And I will tape the edges so that I can have a clean edge at the end. And I will put 2 coats of encaustic gesso underneath so that the wood isn't visible. So in this video, you'll see me gluing with archival glue and using a brayer to make sure that it's really firmly glued down. Here I have the panels, and I'm just playing with them. I'm rearranging them, seeing how they might fit together. Are they going to be individual pieces? Are they going to create one 12 by 12 piece or one longer one? I just don't know. This is the beginning, and we'll see what happens. I've let the panels, the glue, dry overnight, and here I am heating up the panels with a heat gun, and I'm doing the first application of encaustic medium, which is a combination of beeswax and dammer resin, which raises the melting point of the wax so that it doesn't melt in the sun. And after each application, I take the heat gun or a propane torch and I fuse the wax. And you can see I'm getting really close so that I'm not over fusing the wax, but I fuse it, and that adheres it to the wood substrate or paper or whatever it is that you're using. You can use a lot of things in encaustic. You can, people make encaustic sculpture, they use it on fabric, etc. And I will give each of these panels 2 coats of transparent encaustic medium, and I'll fuse them. So each time after I apply a layer of encaustic, I'll fuse. So I'm still not sure if these are, this is a work in progress. Is it going to be 1 piece? Is it going to be 4 little pieces? But right now I'm getting into the fun part. So one very fun thing that you can do in encaustic is that you can incise lines or shapes. You can create shapes with tape, with leaf imprints in hot wax, any number of things. But here I'm just making straight lines, and I'm filling them with black encaustic paint. And then I'm going to fuse that, and then after I let it cool for a little bit, and then what I want is like a pretty sort of narrow line. So after I've fused, I'm going to start scraping off the black to reveal sort of a small line. So I'm going to do this at multiple times throughout the course of the painting. Incise, paint over, incise, paint over. One of the very fun things that you can do with encaustic. You can also incise and then rub oil paint or pigment sticks into the incised areas, and that color will remain. I tend to do that as the last step. So here you will see that I am applying different kinds of coats of paint. Initially that white was a more opaque layer. Here it's a transparent, and the encaustic paint comes, or you can make it in both transparent and opaque colors. So this is just, this fun sort of process of, applying things, scraping them off. I'm going to do a sort of a fast forward through this whole afternoon of working in the studio, kind of putting, a couple hours work into sort of 2 minutes. You can see how each piece evolves and how, I continue to look at them. Are they going to be together? So I sort of dance in between seeing them as one unit and seeing them as unique pieces. And then when my time in the studio is complete, I, gather them together again and sort of make an assessment, just see where they are at that particular time. So here I am, day 3. I have printed off a photograph. I've laser printed it, and I'm going to do a photo transfer, which is very easily done. You have to do it with a laser printed, not an inkjet printed photograph. And essentially what you do is you rub the photograph, and then I apply water to the back, and then I am rubbing off. It's really nice to see it go so fast here. It's not so fast in reality. And what I'm doing next is I'm making marks, and I'm painting just in response to these tree forms that I see, and using some of the techniques I described earlier, incising and scraping away. And what I'm going to do for the next couple of minutes is just show you the progression of these 4 pieces. As I add layers, the whole process involves addition and subtraction. It's an additive and subtractive process. So I'm adding layers, and then I'm scraping away and revealing things. My process is very much responding to what I see in front of me, and forms that I want to accentuate or cover up. And, for that, this encaustic process is just so rewarding. And at the end of day 3, I take stock, and it seems to me like these are not working together as one piece, that they are forming as individual pieces. But again, we will see. I often integrate photographs, found photographs, photocopies of family photographs or community photographs. In this case, it's school photographs from the Putney Historical Society, used with their permission. I go in between sort of making what I would call kind of minute changes, and then you'll see in a little bit just, completely painting over things that and changing the piece quite substantially. So I'm waiting for it to say to me, I am finished. I know that I'm in the final parts of it. What I'm doing right now is that I'm adding oil pigment stick. So either I'm incising lines, or there are sort of divots and bumps in the wax itself, and I'm rubbing the pigment stick into this. Now here's a situation where I have a pretty significant breakthrough. I just am adding some color, some unexpected color, and I'm really focusing on sort of bringing this piece home. And here you have me laying them all out, and I'm still I'm still attached to that idea that maybe they could work as one piece, but as you can see from my contortions, it does not seem to be looking that way. Remember those Putney Central School historical photos? Gone. I've turned the piece upside down, and I've added some mark making with my non-dominant hand. And here I have what now constitutes 2 finished pieces, I would say, these first 2. And then the second 2 are not finished. And there is something ineffable about what makes something finished or not finished. How do you know it's finished? I just know. Or, maybe I don't know.